Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, Anita Finley.
This is a little different interview than I usually do. This is really about a man who has seen lots of life that hasn't been so pleasant. As a matter of fact, not just pleasant, it's really been downright sad and disheartening. He's been in the service. He's lived a life. Many people have lived this kind of life, but not quite as much as he has, that I know anyway. But what is extraordinary is that Edward Rodriguez has turned what we said, well, it's a simple word of lemons into lemonade. That's not good enough for what he's done. I'm going to let him tell you in his own words just what his life's been like, because then as we move forward with what the point of his interview is and what his future is, you'll understand. So, Eddie, why don't you kind of go through who you are and why this is so important to you?
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you to everybody that's listening. It's really an honor to be here, Anita. And I kind of like to say, not lemons into lemonade. I like to say lemons into strawberry-ade, because I love strawberries. They're a lot sweeter. So forget the lemonade. I'm into strawberry. I know that a lot of people look at my life and the things that I've been through, and they call it tragic. And I don't think it's tragic. I think it's gifts that I was given to do exactly what I'm doing with my life, to teach people, to help people, to understand the struggles that they're going through are not struggles. All it is just a little something to help them live their lives fuller, easier, if they just grasp the concept that it's a gift. So,
takes a lot of power, though, to transfer sorrow and unhappiness into something very positive. And I've really been a fan of Wayne Dyer.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, good. Wayne just died recently, but there are many tragedies, or as you don't want to call them tragedies, they're opportunities in a way, but at the time it's very sad. And you have to put something to it to make it have value. You have to have a reason why. And you've taken some things that have been very sad, and you are pushing that envelope, as I read everything about you, into helping other people so that they don't sit and mourn the rest of their life, but do something about it.
Absolutely. You know, I have been through a lot in my life, and in the early days, it was the drugs, the alcohol, not finishing school. You know, as a matter of fact, I quit high school, went into the military. Okay, my drug days just got bigger and bigger and bigger and things like that. One day I looked in the mirror and I asked myself, do you want to live or die? And I decided I wanted to live, that I had something to live for. So then I went the totally opposite direction, got married, had kids, and life was amazing. And then later on, it changed again. But through each one of these times, you know, I searched for what's good about this. What is the good in all of this? What is it that I can learn? So, yes, I have been trained throughout the years to do exactly what I'm going to be doing now. And it's a thing called Destressology. Okay, it's the science of de-stressing. And it's also a way to take your stress, and instead of having it bring you down, you turn it into rocket fuel to prepare your life and your future for better things. It's that fuel that will just get you going, you know, get you waking up in the morning going, yes, life is good. And it is a struggle to find the good in those bad things. But, you know, once you get the tools down, once you get the practice and things like that, it's not that you don't feel the emotion. It's not that it doesn't affect you. It's just that you're able to take it and turn it around. You feel the feelings, but you don't stay in the feelings.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Because we do say that if you are sad, you need to get into that and get sad and cry and do everything you have to. So it's not a good thing to hide those feelings. And I'm sure you cried a lot of nights and a lot of days when these terrible things occurred in your life. But it takes, and I don't know if everyone has that, to be able to do that. I mean, you exhibited an enormous amount of spirit to get back into the run of life, really. And I guess maybe it's a point where you might want to describe the occurrence of what happened to you.
Well, thank you, Anita, for that. I really, truly appreciate it. And you know what? Everybody does have that in them. But the thing is that sometimes they don't know how to find it. And you talk about crying. Heck, sometimes I still cry.
Sure.
There's times that the emotion hits me. Something happens. I see something. I hear some music, whatever it is, and it will bring tears to my eyes. I'll see a movie. And boom, there you go, waterworks. But yes, some of the things that happen, the main things that happened to me in the past 10 years was 10 years ago, I brought in a business partner, and he was to help me with my business, and I was going to step away and become a motivational speaker. Well, ends up that, he kind of siphoned some money out of the business, almost made my business crash. I ended up jumping back in and saving the business. It took me about 5 months, to get the business back in black. Just as I was getting it back in black, I got a phone call from Korea. My son-in-law was in Korea. He was in the Army, and my daughter was there with him. And they got into a moped accident. And my daughter ended up hitting her head. She spent 45 days in critical condition in the hospital, and she ended up passing away. So that is the worst thing that has ever happened to me in my life. And it was a very dark time. And 4 months after that happened, I had a cerebral hemorrhage. I had 3 veins that burst in the back of my brain, filled my brain with blood. I was rushed to the hospital, and they told my wife, call the family, he's dead tonight. Well, the thing is I didn't think that was a great thing to do. How am I going to die and have 2 deaths in the family in 4 months? How could I leave them at such an important time? It took me 6 months to learn how to walk and talk again. It took me almost 10 years to rebuild my brain. But I've got to tell you, there was a lot of gifts that were given to me throughout this time. I learned to celebrate my daughter's life rather than mourn her death. And through my daughter, I was able to start a company that is now called the Smile and Wave Project. And the Smile and Wave Project is about, spreading happiness, spreading joy, spreading smiles throughout the world. And as a matter of fact, in 2011, I walked from Deerfield Beach, Florida, to Manhattan, New York, for the smile.
Okay, now I want you to go to that. How long did that take you?
It took me 277 days.
And you went a particular path? You went on like US 1 or Federal Highway? How did you get there?
Well, the funny thing is that, I thought, I'm going to Washington, D.C. That was my original destination, was Washington, D.C. And US 1 will take you right into Washington, D.C. So I'm trekking up US 1, going out to A1A, coming back into US 1, out to A1A, back into US 1, and I'm just taking this path. I don't know where I'm going to be the next day. Nothing really was planned other than I was going to Washington, D.C., and I was going to do a video that said, Smile and Wave America, we love you.
And you were smiling as you were walking all the way up there, I'm sure.
Yes, I was walking opposite of cars. So they were coming in my direction. They were going south, and I was going north. And I would smile and wave at all the cars. And, of course, some of the people way back with, they've got this weird wave with this one finger thing going on.
I don't know
I don't know what that is, but, I understand it's a Hawaiian greeting or something. I'm kidding for any Hawaiians that are out there. It's just a joke. But, yeah, it's funny how that was. It was absolutely amazing.
Now, as you're walking, but then you spend the night, you go to a hotel or a motel and you spend the night, don't you? Or you just sleep somewhere in a camp?
Well, the funny thing is, spending 277 days on the road, how many days do you think I actually slept under the stars?
Probably a lot. On the beach, right?
Nope.
Oh, not on the beach.
Not one day. I started with $200 in my pocket. I ended with $200 in my pocket. And I set up all of the places that I was going to stay as I was walking down the road.
Oh, so this is almost premeditated.
This is something where, like I said, I didn't know where I was going to be. I didn't know how far I was going to walk. I didn't know any of that. The only thing that I knew is that I was going to spread happiness and smiles, and I was going to get to Washington, D.C. and do that video.
And so how did you eat if you didn't spend the $200? People just helped you. They just said, come in and...
You know, one of the things that I wanted to prove along the walk is that people are inherently good. Now, I got to tell you, I was wrong. They're not inherently good. They're inherently fabulous, fantastic, amazing, whatever you want to call it. But people, when they heard about what I was doing and why I was doing it, they did everything they possibly could to support me. And they took a stranger who was walking through their town and helped him. And I was blown away by the whole thing because I didn't have any expectations as to what was going to happen, but there was no way that I could ever even come close to the amazing things that people did and the way that they stepped up. And hotels put me up a lot. I spent most of my time in hotels. I also slept on a yacht. I slept in an RV. I slept KOA campgrounds. You thought I was camping. No, they gave me a little cabin that had electric and everything. It was amazing because, seriously, I wanted a shower every day. I wanted to get home, shower, refresh myself, and be ready for the next day to go out there and just make whatever difference I could in the world.
It's funny. I found you through a very good friend of mine, Colleen Haney.
Yes, she's amazing.
She is. And she was cute because I wanted her to come on the show, and she said, well, I'm really busy now, but I have someone really great to introduce you to, and that this is how it happened.
Yeah,
but, Eddie, thinking about this, so you already knew in your mind that your goal was to walk a very large, very far distance, and to be able to share the idea of smiles and happiness with other people. And it was kind of a test in a way, but I think it came out A+, didn't it?
If there's anything beyond A+, that's the way it came out for me.
Did you keep a diary?
I wrote a book.
Oh, that's right. I do see that. So when did you have time to write the book? When you came back?
When I came back.
1,054 Miles for Happiness.
Well, actually, that is the title that I had when I was on Facebook. And that was the original title because the original walk was going to be 1,054 miles, and I was doing it for happiness. So it sounded like a great title. I ended up walking, closer to 2,000 miles, and that doesn't include any of the time coming back.
You didn't walk back?
Well, a little bit. I took a train. I took a bus. Not a bus, I'm sorry. I took a train. I took a truck. A truck gave me a ride, and I walked part of the way. And I went and I stayed for a month and a half in Myrtle Beach.
Wow.
Just as a little treat, you know what I mean?
So you've been really away.
It's if I wasn't the one who actually did it, I wouldn't believe half of the things that happened on the road that's so amazing to me. Because, it was just in any way that you can think of for people to open up beautifully, they did. I had a cart that I drug behind me. It was 40 inches by 20 inches, had 8-inch rubber wheels on it. And if it broke down, within 5 minutes, somebody was there to fix it. If I was ever hungry, there was a restaurant right there to feed me. If I needed a place to stay, there was either people or hotels or whatever right there to put me up. It was amazing. I didn't want for anything. I never had to ask anybody for anything. It just showed up in my life. And I'll tell you why. Because when you are doing something that is greater than yourself, and you're putting something that's going to help people in this world out there, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, comes in to help you and hands you whatever it is that you need. What you need to do is you need to go out, do something greater than yourself, tell the truth every single time that you accomplish something or somebody asks you about it. Or in my case, when I was asking for hotels, people say, oh, how did you negotiate that? And I said, I didn't. All I did was tell them what I was doing. I told them the truth. That's it. I didn't try to sugarcoat anything. I didn't try to, I just, this is what it is, and presented it. And they opened their arms and they gave me the rooms, and it was just
like
incredible.
A ball of energy walking, and they didn't even know what it was. They thought probably you came down from the Mars or somewhere, right? You were this unusual person. But and the experience, tell me about maybe of all the experiences, what the very best one was. And I know there are a lot of them. Was one stand out for you? Particularly? I know it'll be hard to pick just one, but
it's hard to pick just one, and I would probably have to say that the one that really got me the most, was there was a guy that I met in West Palm Beach early in the walk, and an amazing man, but had a tragic life. He was in the streets, and he ran in front of me. I was walking through a very bad neighborhood in West Palm, and he runs in front of me, and he stops, and he says, "Sir, can I buy a box of crackers from you for $1?" I had just stopped by Publix and bought 2-for-1 crackers. And I was pushing a stroller. And I get that. I've got duffel bags in a stroller, pushing it down the street to Washington, D.C. That didn't work. But anyway, he was very respectful. And so I looked at him and I said, no, I mean, this guy's like 6'2", weighs probably about 195, 200 pounds. And, you could tell he was a street guy. Okay. And I looked at him and I said, no, you can't have a box of crackers. I mean, I can't sell them to you, but I'll give you one. His eyes opened big. And he was like, he turned flush. And he called his girlfriend over and said, sweetheart, I want you to meet this guy. And so, we talked for a minute. And he said, so you're walking? And I said, yeah. He said, can I walk with you? I said, sure. So as he walked with me, he shared his story. And about, I don't remember, I think it was like 10 years before, there was a guy that tried to shoot him. He showed me the scar on the side of his head where the bullet grazed him. Now, the guy didn't kill him, but he said, the next time I see you, I'm going to kill you. So he went out and he got a gun to protect himself. Now, 2 men on the streets with a gun, that doesn't work very well. So he ended up killing the other guy the next time they met. He went to the police station, he took the pistol, and he put it on the counter, and he said, this is what happened. And they arrested him, and they put him in jail for murder for 8 years. And so when he got out, he was on the streets. And he shared the story with me for probably 15 blocks. Then I was going into a fire station, because I stopped all along the way, and I thanked the firemen at every fire station that I saw. So I was getting ready to go in there, and he grabs my arm, not roughly. He just grabs my arm, and he turned to me, and he looked at me, and he had tears in his eyes. And he said, I know this is only a box of crackers, but this is the first time ever that anybody's ever given anything to me, and not asked for something back. And it's also the first time that anybody's ever listened to me and heard my story without judgment. This man is labeled a murderer, but one of his statements to me showed me that he is not even close to that. He says, in the streets, it's tit for tat. If somebody does something, you have to retaliate. He said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to jump into that game. I'm not that way. I'm going to smile and turn the other way.
Wow.
Which is beautiful.
That's right. That was your first conquest.
It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And, I carried that in my heart,
of course, as
the
you were
whole
walking.
way.
Did you run into, as you were walking and you were going through maybe some areas that were not as safe? Did you find that happening?
Well, the funny thing is that I never ran into any bad people. I only ran into people that had tragic stories. Okay. Now, other people may have, thought that they were bad people, but they didn't know their heart. I had a guy that I sat down with somewhere in North Carolina. I can't remember where it was. And he told me, he says, I hate people. And he talked to me for about 2 hours. He was like, I want to buy you a drink. And I said, well, I really don't drink. It's not that I don't drink. It's just that I drink when I feel like it. And I feel like it maybe 3 times a year or something like that. I have a couple of drinks. I haven't been drunk since 1979. So I said, how about a coffee? And he's like, cool, I'll buy you a coffee. So he sat there and talked to me for 2 hours, bought me coffee, things like this, offered me food, and he doesn't like people. Okay? The thing is that he's disappointed by the things that he believes happen in his life through people. But the truth of the matter is he's a great guy who loves people, Okay. And he said, no, you're different. And I said, no, I'm no different than anybody else. The only difference is you feel comfortable talking with me. That was it. So he's an amazing man.
All right. Now, and I'm sure that you could tell a lot more stories like this. And so is your book filled with stories like this?
Absolutely. Yeah. My book is filled with a lot of stories. You read the one with the murderer. You also read one with a man with a gun. And, many other, I think, intriguing stories. Now, there's stories that I would love to put into the book that I haven't, but at speaking engagements and things like this, I share stories that are not in the book, and I share information that's not in the book so that people have something else to hear. I'm not rehashing all the same old stuff.
I understand.
Yeah.
So now, Eddie, and let me just introduce you again. It's Eddie Rodriguez, and you are on a mission. It's obvious your mission is Destressology.
Yes.
So what is it, if people are listening to you, that they could do to know more about you or to follow your mission or to be a part of it?
They can follow me on the Smile and Wave Project.com. Again, the Smile and Wave, W-A-V-E, project.com. And they can also go to Destressology.com. So the way that I spell Destressology is D-E-Stressology. So it's, those are simple ways to do it. You can also follow me on Facebook on the Smile and Wave Project. There's links that you can go to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I believe Pinterest, and all of those things. All the social media stuff.
Eddie, it's
I'm also going to start a blog.
Okay, you should. Oh,
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Eddie, it's wonderful to talk to you about all this because one thing, and I happen to be a gerontologist, and so I understand about the elder population more than the general public does.
Yes. You do amazing work, by the way.
Thank you. But stress is one of the ways that people grow older before they should,
Yeah.
and they get sick. Their immune system goes down. And so what you're talking about is teaching people to de-stress.
Yes.
So you're going to have to think of some tips. Just get, and I'm throwing this at you really quickly, but
Yes.
what tips would you like our listeners to hear?
Well, one of the things that I want you to hear is that you're important in this world, because a lot of people don't think that they're important. They think that, everybody else is more important than they are. But you know what? The truth of the matter is you're the most important person in your own world. So you got to make sure that you honor yourself. The next thing is that most people go out and they say hello to everybody else, but they don't take time to say hello to themselves.
That's good.
Yeah. When you wake up in the morning, you go and you're in front of the mirror, you're brushing your teeth. I hope you brush your teeth anyway. Bad jokes. But anyway, you're brushing your teeth and stuff like that. Take a moment, look in the mirror, look in your own eyes, and say good morning. It's a simple thing. Morning, how you doing today? I hope you're feeling great. Oh, man, it's going to be an amazing day.
I say that to my dog when I get up.
Right. But do you say it to yourself?
I don't say it. I think I feel it, but I don't say
excellent.
it. I don't say it, but that's a fun thing to do. Okay.
Absolutely. And you know what? It feels a little weird when you first do it, but I guarantee you, if you try this for 30 days, you're going to feel different. You're absolutely going to feel different. And also, don't just react to things. Now, this is something that everybody says. Don't just react, breathe. And it's true. It's huge. Take deep breaths before you react to something. And also, another thing that I like to do is a lot of times if I'm in a situation or something, when I have a moment, I will close my eyes and I will look at an image of myself sitting in a chair. And I will put the situation right there in the chair. And I'll look at it from the outside. Because you know how we always have amazing advice for our friends? We say, oh, this is what you should do. I got the answer for you. But they don't listen, right? Well, the thing is that, hey, why don't we take that advice and give it to ourselves? And the way to do that is to see yourself as the third party. You're outside of yourself. You're outside looking in. And you're that friend that you're trying to help. Figure that out. And another one is, one more if you don't mind, if you have a problem in your life, go out and find somebody who has that same problem and help them. Because as you're helping them, it's going to help you find the answers for your own stuff.
In my profession, we call it support groups.
Right.
And support groups, a lot of people always say, I don't need a support group and I don't want to be around people who have this problem. Mm-hmm. But sure enough, when they get there, they realize they are not unique. And that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
No one is unique. There are so many people that are the same. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your childhood. And I can probably tell you, I hope I'm not wrong, that you had a mother who really loved you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
See.
Still does.
Okay. All right. But I'm of the mind that people can be poor, they can be rich, but when they've had the love of a mother, even more than the father, it's important, the father too, but the mother, they can do anything.
Yes.
If the mother's supportive, and I have found that, and it's a certain self-confidence, a certain love, and you can't give too much love to your children.
No, you can't. You can't. You got it.
Now, do you have other children?
Yes, I do. 4 others.
4 others. Now, are you married now?
No.
You're not married now, but you have 4 other children.
Correct.
And that was from your wife?
Well,
your first wife?
3 of them, and I don't use the word step.
Yeah.
3 of them are not of my blood.
I understand.
Yeah, and what I tell them is I said, your blood...
You were chosen rather than blood.
Well, I say my blood may not be running through your veins, but my blood is running through your veins. Okay?
Right.
So...
Right.
and the funny thing is, and their fathers and I really got along. I mean, we were great together. And they used to go to their dads, and they'd say, well, my dad says, and they were talking about me. So that was kind of a funny thing. And the fathers weren't upset by it. As a matter of fact, they came and thanked me for helping to raise their daughters.
Well, I hope to see you in a lot of places in the future. And I'll know that you were here in June doing this with us. And everyone's going to look for Smiling and Waving.
Yep.
Is it smilingwaving.com?
No. The Smile and Wave Project.
The Smile and Wave Project.com. The Smile and it's Eddie Rodriguez.
You can also get my book on From FL to NY in Amazon.
Okay, from NY to from FL to NY.
Yep.
.com in Amazon. All right, Eddie, thank you. It's been a wonderful, really a treat to have you.
Anita, it was fantastic. And everybody out there, love you.
That's
Have an amazing day. Okay.